Wow, that's such a cool idea to build. Why didn't I figure it out myself? Let's learn how to build a city.
Round 1.
I start with the village well because a village needs one middle point, and the well is a good center for the whole place. I use cobblestone first because stone looks strong and old, and a well should look like something that can stay in one spot for a very long time. Wood would feel too light near water, but cobblestone feels heavy and safe. I build the well in the simple Minecraft village style, so the shape is easy to recognize right away. Then I add oak fences as the posts around it. Oak fences are thin, so they do not make the well look too chunky, and that is useful because a well should feel open, not like a full house. Oak also matches village builds really well because it is one of the most common woods in Minecraft. I keep the design plain on purpose. If the center of the village is too fancy, the houses around it can start looking weak. A simple well is good because it gives the whole area a calm start and helps every other building fit around it. I keep working on the well and make it look like the normal village one from Minecraft because players know that shape fast. Familiar shapes are useful in building because they tell the viewer what the place is without needing extra signs. The cobblestone part works like the hard shell around the water, and that makes sense from a building point of view. Stone does not look like it would rot, and it also looks like it can hold the pressure of blocks around the hole. The oak fence posts add a small wooden detail, and that keeps the well from being just a gray rock box. Mixing stone and wood is a nice village trick because stone gives strength and wood gives warmth. I do not try to make it huge because wells are usually not giant buildings. They are little service structures. A smaller size also helps the houses become more important later. Now the center feels ready, and the village has a spot that everything else can turn around. That makes planning easier for me. Behind the well, I build a small house from cobblestone, oak planks, and oak wood on top as the roof. I put the house there because the well should stay visible from the front, and a house behind it helps frame the center instead of blocking it. Cobblestone is good for the lower walls because it looks sturdy and fits the village style. Then I add oak planks, which make the house feel warmer and more like a place where somebody actually lives. Stone alone can feel cold, but wood softens the build. For the roof, I use oak wood blocks on top, and that gives the house a very simple, heavy cap. A roof should always look like it protects the inside from rain, so a solid top is important even in Minecraft. I keep this house small because not every building in a village should fight for attention. Smaller houses around the center make the area feel natural, like the village grew little by little instead of appearing all at once from nowhere. On the right side, I make another house, and this one has cobblestone walls with oak wood support posts on the corners. Corner posts are nice because they make the edges easier to read, and they also make the house look stronger. When a building uses different blocks on the corners, it feels like the frame is holding the wall panels in place. That is a simple design trick, but it works really well for village houses. Above that, I build the roof from oak plank stairs. Stairs are much better than full blocks for roofs because they create a slope, and a sloped roof looks more real than a flat one on a small village home. Water would slide off more easily on a sloped roof in real life, so the shape feels believable. I like using oak stairs here because the color matches the support posts and keeps the house consistent. This one already looks a bit more planned than the tiny house behind the well, so the village starts getting some variety without losing the same material style. To the right of the well, I build one more house, and this one is like the last one but a little bigger. Making one house larger is good because a village should not have every building at exactly the same size. If all houses are equal, the place looks copied. Different sizes make it feel like different families or jobs belong here. I use the same kind of wall idea with cobblestone and oak parts because repeating materials helps the whole village stay connected. is important in design. Different shapes can work together when the palette stays similar. Since this house is bigger, it has more wall space, so the supports and roof shape matter even more. If I left a big flat wall with no structure, it would look boring fast. The larger roof also helps break the shape and gives the house a stronger silhouette from far away. Now the right side of the village does not feel empty anymore. The well has neighbors, and the little center area is starting to feel like a proper street. On the left side of the well, I go for something much bigger and build a two-story house. I make the first floor from cobblestone because lower floors should look strong and stable. A heavier material at the bottom makes sense since the lower level looks like it carries the weight of the upper level. Then I build the second floor from oak planks. Wood on the upper floor makes the building feel lighter as it goes up, and that is a nice visual trick. A tall building looks less bulky when the top uses a warmer and softer material. For every joint and corner, I use oak wood blocks because those beam-like pieces tie both floors together and stop the walls from looking flat. Structural lines are very important on a taller house. When a building has two floors, the eye needs vertical lines to understand how everything stacks. This house is much bigger than the others, so it feels like an important home in the village. Maybe the mayor lives there, or maybe just a villager with too many potatoes. I finished the big house by adding glass panes in the windows and then building a triangular roof from oak planks. Glass panes are a good choice because they are thinner than full glass blocks, so the windows look more like real windows instead of ice cubes stuck in the wall. Thin windows also help the house feel more detailed. Then I shape the roof into a triangle. A triangular roof is great on a tall house because it gives the building a strong top shape and makes rain look like it could run off both sides. It also helps the house stand out from the smaller homes around the well. The bottom stone floor, the wooden second floor, the oak frame lines, and the roof all work together really well. Now the left side feels important, the right side feels balanced, and the small house behind the well fills the back. I think the whole place looks like a village trying to become a little city. It is still simple, but the center now feels busy and alive. Phew! It took so much effort. Great! My city is ready.
Oh, wow!
Choo-hoo! We're going to build a city today. I love making my village bigger. Mikey has probably already built his part of the city. Let's have a look. Mikey, is that all you've built in that time? Are you sure this is a city? It's more like another village.
But it's almost like a city. It's been a long time since I've been to a real city, but I remember for sure that there are a lot of houses there.
Mikey, there are a lot more houses there and they look different.
Oh, that's it. Stop judging. Maybe then you'll show me how to build a city? JJ, I'm not sure you're going to make it, but in any case, good luck to you. I'll wait for you at the house.
Thanks, then I'll start. Round 2. I look at Mikey's village and decide it needs more houses if it is going to feel like part of a city instead of only a tiny rural square. A city needs density, and density comes from more buildings placed with some logic between them. To speed that up, I use a special structure block. When I place it on the ground and select a saved build, the entire house appears in that spot. This is a very efficient tool for urban planning in Minecraft because large settlements often need many structures that share a similar style. Fast placement allows me to focus on layout, spacing, and visual balance, instead of rebuilding every wall by hand. The important thing is not just spawning random houses. I need houses that match Mikey's materials and mood. Otherwise, the new area will feel stitched together from different worlds. So I begin by studying the village style first. Cobblestone, oak, and simple roofs already define the local language, and my added structures need to respect that language. The structure cube I'm using contains a huge number of possible houses, and that makes the job more difficult than it sounds. Too many choices can slow down good design, because not every good house is the right house for this location. I scroll through many options and look for something that fits the scale of the village. Scale matters a lot. If I dropped a mansion beside Mikey's well, the center would be crushed visually. If I picked a tiny hut, it would not help the village grow into a city district. I finally select one that has the same rustic feeling and a similar roof style. Then I place it carefully so it feels connected to the existing homes instead of blocking them. Urban planning is not only about the buildings themselves, it is also about the empty space between them. Gaps create streets, yards, and views. By keeping those relationships in mind, I make sure the new house supports the village rather than overwhelming it with a random paste. After placing the first generated house, I continue searching the structure selection for a second one. I want another building that feels related to the first but not identical. Repetition can be helpful in a city, but exact copies too close together can make the area feel artificial. A good neighborhood usually has a shared style with small differences in footprint, height, or roof shape. I choose a second house that still uses village-friendly materials and proportions, then place it where it extends the cluster naturally. This gives Mikey's area a broader settlement pattern. Now the village does not seem like only a few buildings around one well. It starts to feel like a district with growth. Matching style is important here because visual consistency tells the viewer that the buildings belong to the same place and time. Even when houses arrive through a special block, the design work is still in the selection process. Picking the correct model is just as important as building one from scratch. Once the extra houses are in place, I walk behind them and think about what the area still lacks. The answer is clear. It needs verticality. Villages are horizontal and spread out, but cities usually show at least some tall structures that change the skyline. Without that, the settlement remains a village no matter how many houses it has. So I decide to create a multi-story building, possibly a hotel or apartment tower. A tall building will add a strong landmark and make the whole scene read as an urban edge where the old village is starting to modernize. This is a useful planning idea in Minecraft. When one area needs a new identity, changing the height profile can do that very quickly. A skyline tells a story from far away. I move to a spot behind the smaller houses so the tower can rise over them without covering the central village space. Placement matters because landmarks should be visible, but they should not erase everything that came before them. I begin the first floor of the high-rise with gray and white concrete. I choose concrete because it gives a cleaner and more modern look than cobblestone and wood. That contrast is important. The tower should clearly belong to a newer phase of the settlement. Gray and white also work well together because they create a simple urban palette that feels like plaster, stone paneling, or modern exterior cladding. I use white for the brighter surfaces, and gray to define edges and break up the facade. On a large building, color contrast helps the eye understand where floors and corners are. If I used only one flat tone, the structure would feel too blank. I keep the first level broad and well-proportioned because the base of a tall building has to carry the visual weight of everything above it. Even in Minecraft, a narrow, weak-looking bottom can make a skyscraper feel unstable. A solid first floor creates trust. and trust is very important when a structure is meant to represent housing or a hotel. Next, I build large windows in the first floor and fill them with light blue glass. Large windows are useful on a modern building because they reduce the heavy feeling of all that concrete. They also help the tower look like a place for people rather than a sealed block. Light blue glass is a good choice because it suggests reflection and daylight without being too dark. Tinted glass often makes a facade feel more polished and more believable in a city setting. The size of the windows also matters. A high-rise with very tiny windows would feel awkward and old-fashioned, while broad windows communicate openness and modern design. After finishing the base level, I build another floor above it with almost the same logic. I keep the same gray and white system and similar window proportions so the building has rhythm. I do not make door openings on this upper floor because upper levels usually connect through stairs or elevators inside, not directly through exterior doors. With 2 levels visible, I move inside and create the circulation core. A tall building cannot function well if the inside does not let people move upward clearly and safely. I leave a passage between the floors and place a staircase there. Stairs are one of the most important structural ideas in any multi-level build because they create vertical flow and explain how the rooms are actually used. A fancy exterior means very little if the inside has no logical movement. I keep the stair area readable so any player can understand where to go immediately after entering. The circulation space also helps organize the rest of the rooms because furniture and walls can now be planned around a clear spine. In real architecture, stairs and service cores often determine much of the layout. The same principle works here. Once the stair is in place, the building stops being just a shell and starts feeling like a place with function. It now has a route from one floor to another. After the stair layout is ready, I use copy tools to duplicate the completed floor and place it several times above. This is one of the smartest methods for towers because repeated floor plates are realistic and efficient. Hotels and apartment buildings often use the same basic floor many times, since repeating a successful layout saves material, time, and planning effort. In Minecraft, copying also keeps every level aligned perfectly. That helps the facade stay clean and prevents mistakes that can happen when rebuilding each floor by hand. As I stack the floors upward, the building becomes very tall and finally changes the skyline the way I want it. The repeated rows of windows create a strong pattern, and patterns are valuable on big structures because they make height easy to read. The tower now acts like a marker for the whole area. From far away, players will see that one tall shape and immediately understand that this is no longer just a plain village with a few huts around a well. At the base of the tower, I decorate the lower exterior with leaves. This may seem like a small detail, but transitions between ground and wall are very important. A giant concrete building that rises straight from bare dirt can feel harsh and disconnected from the landscape. Leaves soften that edge. They act like planted bushes or decorative landscaping and help the modern structure sit more naturally near the older village homes. This is a useful design lesson. Hard materials often benefit from one softer element nearby. The contrast makes both materials look better. The leaves also reduce the visual scale of the base, which helps people relate to the first floor more easily. Tall buildings can feel intimidating, so a little greenery gives the entrance zone a friendlier feeling. Since Mikey's area already has rustic homes, natural decoration is a good bridge between the old section and the new one. The tower begins to feel integrated into the environment instead of dropped in from another map. Inside the first floor, I separate a room on the right side using glass panes. Glass panes are excellent for interior partitions because they divide space without making the room feel closed or dark. On a first floor that may act like a lobby or shared area, visibility is very useful. People can understand the layout quickly, and the room feels larger than it would with solid walls. I place anvils with leaves as decorative pieces, which works surprisingly well because the heavy dark metal gives the plants a clear base and creates a modern industrial touch. Then, I add sofas for seating. Sofas belong in a common area because they support waiting, relaxing, and social use. On the floor, I place carpets made from red and black wool. These colors create a stronger accent against the neutral walls and help define the lounge area. Flooring details are important because they tell people where a function begins. The first level now feels like an intentional public interior rather than an empty concrete box. The red and black carpets also serve another purpose. They visually anchor the sofas and create a zone that reads as one unified seating area. In interior design, grouping furniture through rugs or carpets is a simple but very effective method. Without that, the furniture can look as if it is floating around randomly. I keep the decorative plants near the seating so the room gains height variation and a bit of life. The glass partition on the right side means the first floor keeps openness while still having a defined subroom. And that balance is good for hotels, apartment lobbies, or mixed-use buildings. Open spaces are easier to navigate, while separated corners can give comfort and function. By combining soft furniture, glass division, and accent colors, I create a first floor that feels welcoming to both villagers and players. A city needs not only tall facades, it also needs believable interior spaces where daily life could happen. That is why I spend time making this level useful. It is high time for furniture. On the second floor, I create a bedroom setup. I place a bed first, because a bed immediately tells the viewer that this floor can be used as a private room. Then I add a nightstand and a lamp. Those two items are small, but they matter because furniture looks far more believable when it has supporting pieces around it. A bed with no side table can feel unfinished. The lamp also introduces the idea of local lighting, which makes the room more comfortable. For decoration, I place anvils with leaves again. This gives a nice mix of strong and soft shapes and stops the interior from feeling too sterile. After that, I add wardrobes for clothes and shoes, because storage is essential in any room people actually live in. On the floor, I place a carpet to tie the furniture together. A soft floor element helps define the sleeping zone and makes the room feel warmer than plain concrete alone. Once I am satisfied with the room, I use commands to copy the whole interior setup and paste it onto the higher floors. This is a very practical method for multi-story buildings. Repeating room furniture makes perfect sense for hotels, dormitories, or apartment blocks with standardized units. Commands help me preserve alignment exactly, which is important because even small shifts in furniture placement can make upper floors look messy when viewed from outside or through windows. After finishing the first tower, I decide one tall building alone is not enough to create a city feeling. Urban space becomes convincing when there is more than one large mass shaping the skyline. So I copy the entire building and paste it a couple more times nearby. This instantly creates a small cluster of modern towers. A cluster is important because buildings interact visually with one another. When several tall forms stand together, the area gains rhythm, depth, and a more developed identity. I still pay attention to spacing. Towers need room around them so they do not merge into one giant block. Gaps allow light, movement, and outdoor details such as paths and planting. Repeating the whole structure is also realistic, since many city districts use similar towers built from the same plan. By placing two more nearby, I create the feeling of a planned development behind Mikey's village. The old homes remain in front, and the modern district rises behind them, telling a story of growth over time. Now, I move outside and add street lamps from the mod. Street lighting is one of the strongest signals that a place is urban and maintained. Houses alone can still feel rural, but lamps along open spaces immediately suggest public planning and regular use after dark. I place them where paths and open areas need guidance, not just at random. Good lighting design supports movement and safety. Even in Minecraft, players understand where to walk when light points the way. After that, I use bone meal to grow vegetation around the new buildings. Quick planting is useful because empty ground makes a city feel unfinished. Grass, flowers, and small natural growth soften the hard edges of walls and roads. They also make the district more welcoming. Too much concrete without greenery can feel lifeless, especially next to a village. By adding plants near the houses and towers, I create a smoother transition between the natural world and the built environment. Soft and hard elements always improve each other when balanced well. The next step is connecting everything. I use a shovel to create paths from house to house. Path blocks are simple, but they are extremely important because circulation outside matters just as much as circulation inside. If buildings are not linked by clear routes, the settlement feels decorative instead of functional. Paths tell villagers and players where movement is expected. They also visually organize the ground and make the city block easier to read from above. I guide the paths between the village houses, around the well, and toward the modern towers so the whole area feels like one connected district. The difference in ground texture helps a lot. A path stands out from normal dirt and grass, which means it works like visual wayfinding. I also keep the route widths consistent so the network feels planned. This is another small urban design lesson. Good cities do not rely only on buildings. They rely on the spaces between buildings, and paths are one of the clearest ways to shape those spaces. Finally, I populate the area with villagers. Buildings, roads, and lamps can create a strong setting, but people are what make a city feel alive. Villagers add movement, purpose, and scale. As soon as they start walking between the houses and the new towers, the whole district gains energy. They also help explain the functions of the spaces I built. The village homes become real residences, the well becomes an active center, and the tower can now feel like a hotel or apartment building with occupants. Population is an important part of design because architecture is made for users. A beautiful structure without inhabitants can still look empty. By placing villagers throughout the area, I complete the story of expansion. Mikey's little village has grown into the edge of a city where old cobblestone houses and new concrete towers stand together. The result is much richer than either style alone. It has history, contrast, movement, and a clear sense of place. Great, my city is ready. It's time for me to show it to the guys.
Wow, JJ, we got such a beautiful city. It combines both ordinary houses and luxury hotels. It's very plausible.
Thank you, Mikey. I am very glad that you liked my building. Well, I think it's time for us to finish.
Yes, JJ, you're right.
Subscribe and like. Bye-bye.